Ladies and gentlemen, this is a huge victory, an enormous victory, a gigantic win for President Trump. Why? The Mueller probe was based on a dossier that was literally purchased by the DNC and Clinton, who will be the nominee, not Biden. Share my Times of Israel article everywhere on Facebook and Twitter. Hillary Clinton, not Biden, will be nominee. And share my Huffington Post article in 2017 calling this over 3.5 years before it happens. Hillary Clinton 2020 is a reality. Get ready for 8 years of Trump. They started a probe based on a dossier Clinton purchased against her direct political rival. Isn't that interesting? Notice they don't use that phrase when it's Clinton purchasing the probe. Then they used it as raw intelligence. They knew it wasn't verified. The subsource denied every major claim. And then they outsourced CrowdStrike. And the CEO for CrowdStrike, a tech firm that the Democrats outsourced, stated that there was no evidence. He had no concrete evidence. Then they used the disgruntled memos of a fired FBI director in Comey to then start this special counsel into the possibility that a crime took place. Watergate was an actual break-in. By the way, subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel. I have a great segment up on there today. And Bizarro World Goodman, my wacky cousin, the hardcore Democrat, he's locked himself in his basement. He'll come out soon. But here, Wall Street Journal. This is why the Supreme Court blocked and denied and rejected House Democrats' demands that Mueller documents be released. Supreme Court grants Trump request to block disclosure of Mueller materials. New York Post, Supreme Court blocks release of Russia probe documents. National Review, Supreme Court temporarily blocks release of Mueller grand jury documents. New York Times, Supreme Court blocks release of full Mueller report for now. Fox News, Supreme Court blocks House Democrats' effort to get Mueller grand jury information released. CNN, Supreme Court blocks release of Mueller grand jury documents to House. USA Today, Supreme Court blocks disclosure of grand jury evidence from Russia probe for now. Don't you love like every setback? Well, it's for now, but we're going to get those documents soon. Let's look really quickly. What did they want? New York Post, the Supreme Court temporarily blocked the House of Representatives from getting secret grand jury testimony of ex-special counsel Robert Mueller's Russia investigation. Adam Schiff and Democrats with the security clearances or privy to the information already had the information. They already had the information. So, and they did not, and this is the reason why, one of the reasons why the Supreme Court rejected the request by House Democrats to make it public. They did not impeach President Trump because he broke legal statutes. That he did not get impeached for breaking legal statutes. So when you hear people say, "Oh, he's a criminal president. This is so corrupt, so criminal." Excuse me, if Madam Secretary were president, U.S. Code 793F, easily you could list the litany of legal statutes that she broke, that being one of them. Okay, that's with unintentional use of servers outside of the United States government that had top secret and special access program intelligence illegally transferred on them. Because there's no legal way to do so. You cannot transfer any classified intelligence on private servers. That's why when Comey covered up all the litany of crimes committed by President Trump's direct political rival, he said, well, there was no intent there. Of course there was intent, but of course there was intent, okay? Notice though, they get themselves contorted into like this, into a pretzel. They twist themselves into a pretzel, trying to explain why Madam Secretary used private servers. Notice that when they say but her emails, they don't say but her top secret emails. That's my book on Amazon, but her top secret emails and but her deleted emails. If you have Kindle and Debunking the Trump-Russia Myth. If you have Kindle, go ahead. And if you're bored nowadays, thank God the shutdown's slowly going to be ending. But if you're bored, check those out. They're below in the description section on Amazon. People love them. But President Trump did not get impeached on breaking a legal statute. This is extremely important because when anyone says, and by the way, don't ever debate or discuss or dispute with anyone who has Trump derangement issues. Don't do it. I don't care if it's a spouse, family member, cousin, a coworker, friend, just somebody you meet. Don't, just because they look at Trump as the worst creature, the most monstrous, hideous, ghoulish creature that's ever existed. The reality of who President Trump is not the reality that's painted every day by media, scorned because they lost the last election. Okay, Democrats and media and Hollywood and the intelligence community and people like Bill Kristol and Max Boot and all the people who want to keep Americans overseas in endless quagmires. Notice the left doesn't care that President Trump is bringing Americans home eventually from Afghanistan and hopefully from Iraq. He's eventually ending and reversing 16 years of failed U.S. foreign policy. But nobody cares on the left because they don't care. They don't care. They obsess over one country, and let every other country, whatever. That's a whole other issue. But the Supreme Court, so the court, in an unsigned order, kept previously undisclosed details from the investigation of Russian interference in the 2016 election out of the hands of Democrat lawmakers, at least until the summer. The High Court will decide whether to extend its hold. But certain people already know. So, like, Adam Schiff already knows what's in these documents. They already know what's in these documents, and they know it wasn't enough. They know what's in the grand jury information. They know what's in the Mueller transcripts, and they know it's not enough. It wasn't enough to impeach President Trump on anything to do with breaking a legal statute. Okay, Bill Clinton was impeached on breaking 2 legal statutes, obstruction of justice and perjury. That's why they impeached him. Oh my God, what is his? I mean, somebody up there doesn't like me. I'm so unfair. And then Mark Cuban says that Trump always plays the victim. Excuse me? The entire Democratic Party all they've done is complain and moan and cry and sob and play the victim for going on 4 years now, blaming Russia, even though there's no evidence that Russia even cared about the Democratic Party. And then we find out that they were afraid of the Democratic Party. Every computer they have is allegedly hacked into by Russia. So why would Russia be afraid of the Democrats? And the fact that every Democratic computer system is allegedly hacked by Russia should show that Russia isn't afraid of them. So it's not like they paint themselves as this, gigantic adversary of Putin, when Putin is like laughing all the way to the bank, by the way, because $500,000 speaking engagement, Bill Clinton met with Putin while the uranium deal was going down. William D. Campbell, an FBI informant, notice how the media never uses any expert advice or any informants or anything that goes against the narrative that they want to perpetuate. So when William D. Campbell, a gentleman who knew about Russian lobbyists and Uranium One officials bragging about their influence over the Clinton Foundation and President Obama's administration, that's never brought up. That's never brought up to start an investigation or a probe. Right now, check my last segment on this channel. President Zelensky of Ukraine's President Zelensky has already started a Biden probe into the conversations that he had with Poroshenko, Zelensky's predecessor, about firing Viktor Shokin, the prosecutor. And by the way, Poroshenko fired Shokin just to get the $1 billion because Biden engaged in literally a quid pro quo, stating you're not going to get $1 billion in loan guarantees if you don't fire this prosecutor Shokin. And Poroshenko is on tape, recorded conversations saying, "Well, I don't know what he did wrong. He didn't do anything. We didn't find that he did anything wrong, but he was fired anyway." And Rudy Giuliani has a sworn affidavit from Shokin, but notice how there's no Shokin memos, but the Comey memos, oh my God, that starts the Mueller probe. And the grand jury investigation, look, the grand jury information where people allegedly lied to FBI officials, We have no clue if any. We have to see the 302s of these FBI officials who got Papadopoulos and Flynn to lie. It really doesn't matter if any Democrat or anybody around Clinton's inner circle got caught up in a sweeping special counsel. You better believe it would be more than just process crimes. They'd find out who enabled the transfer and who was able to migrate or store or save or send or receive the top secret in the Special Access Program intelligence, in addition to the thousands of retroactively classified emails. How is it even able to run? How do you run servers for 4 years? And then where are Brian Pagliano's emails? They didn't. Could you imagine if they gave Brian Pagliano the treatment they gave to Carter Page, or no, the treatment they gave to Michael Flynn, the treatment they gave to George Papadopoulos? Where are his emails for 4 years at the State Department? Clinton's deleted emails were not about yoga. Where are those emails? Okay, Democrats don't care. They don't care about Attorney General Loretta Lynch meeting with Bill Clinton. They don't care about anything. But they think that it's going to be incriminating. If these documents were incriminating in any way, they would have already impeached President Trump on a legal statute. They did not do so. They impeached President Trump on the notion that he withheld military assistance, not because he wanted to actually get to the bottom of why Biden forced out another country's prosecutor and whether or not it had something to do with his son on the board of directors of a corrupt energy corporation. And this story was written about by all the liberal publications like 4, 5, 6, 7 years ago. But that's obvious corruption right there. It's an obvious conflict of interest, but Democrats say, well, no, Biden had to do so. Really? Poroshenko is on record, recorded phone conversations saying, well, we found nothing that he did wrong. Could it be that he was fired because he was looking into or about to look into corruption in Burisma? Why do you think they hired Biden, Hunter? Here's the question is, it's so obvious. Why did they hire Hunter? He doesn't even speak Ukrainian. He has no background in energy. They hired Hunter to get to his father. It's unbelievable. Then there's issues with Biden's brother. And the Daily Beast wrote about this in 2014. And then you have Rudy Giuliani talking about this. But again, if it's like a Republican talking about it, oh, it never happened, it's horrible, it's just another way of trying to go after Democrats. The media is going to be one of the reasons President Trump wins, in addition to him being a great president. President Trump is by far a better president, by far, than President Obama, and infinitely better than Bush. And if anybody wants to debate, I would love to get their take on why President Obama engaged in a failed NATO intervention that actually destroyed and obliterated a country, Libya. I would like to know why President Obama drank Flint water to literally deceive people into thinking it was safe when it was still poisonous. Those two acts alone, mainly the failed NATO intervention, are worse than anything President Trump has ever done. But you have this apoplectic, hysterical media coverage of Trump. This is like, I call it the liberal millennial journalist's last stand. This is the liberal millennial journalist's last stand against President. He wins again, their ideology's done. He wins again, politics will change forever in the United States. So it will never go back to the way it was. Media politics will never go back. And the side that'll be vanquished is the side trying to that's been trying to undermine and oust and remove President Trump for the past 4 years, even before he became president. But when you have this maniacal, rabid, frothing at the mouth coverage, and here the committee argued that it needed access to the underlying grand jury material to make its own determination about the president's actions. Who cares? Who cares about its own? So the House Democrats said, "Well, we weren't happy with what Mueller came up with, so we're gonna make our own determination." Meanwhile, you had Adam Schiff literally making up and fabricating quotes because the reality was just it wasn't there. There was a phone remember the phone conversation that they obsessed over before blaming Trump for the current crisis, which they not only forgot, ignored. Ask why Andrew Cuomo tweeted, "The risk remains low for New York" on March 1st. Ask why he tweeted that. Ask why Eric Swalwell said stop wearing masks in March 3rd. I mean, they are caught always, literally and figuratively, with their pants down. Now they ask the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court gives Trump yet another victory. He doesn't always win in the courts, but generally when it gets to the Supreme Court, more often than not, I would say more often than not, I don't know how many times he's won, but more often than not, the Supreme Court says, nah, you don't need to do this. So, yeah, it's a political stunt. So, give me your thoughts below. Supreme Court blocks release of Russia probe documents, primarily because they did not list a crime. Primarily because the Mueller probe already ended. And primarily because President Trump was victorious. After the Mueller probe, who lost? Democrats. Any pundit, any journalist, anybody who pumped the myth that Trump worked with Russia to hack the DNC, but Russia wouldn't hack Clinton's servers. They're not smart enough. Because, Clinton's servers had top secret and special access program intelligence. They wouldn't want that. They would want, Bernard Sanders' the fact that Bernie was cheated. And by the way, Bernie basically gave his delegates to Biden, which is pretty hilarious. Biden's not going to be nominated, people. He ain't going to be nominated. I will have made the biggest political call of all time. Give me your thoughts below. If you want to support my voice long term, my Patreon is below. Your support is greatly appreciated, ladies and gentlemen. My Patreon is below in the pinned comment and description. Subscribe to H.A. Goodman's other channel right this second. It's below in the pinned comment and description. Subscribe to Bizarro World Goodman. You'll love it, and eventually my cousin will get out of the basement. Share my latest Times of Israel article, Hillary Clinton, not Biden, will be nominee. Share that everywhere on Facebook and Twitter right now. Thank you so much. Big, big win for President Trump.